Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of I Rise with Sal. Today on my show, we have Sandhya Krishnan with us, and we'll be unpacking the world of modern day dating and relationships. It's a topic that's very exciting to a lot of people, and she's the best person to be speaking to about this. Sandhya is a wellness and mindfulness coach, and for the past 17 years, she's been helping young individuals build on their careers and find their passions. She has over 2 decades worth of experience in serial entrepreneurship as a radio jockey, as a journalist, an actor, and has worn multiple hats. She's also a mother of 2 children, and we're very excited to have you on the show, Sandhya, to speak about this.
Thank you, Sonia. I'm really excited. You know that this is a topic that's very close to my heart as well. And I think that's one of the reasons that we connected instantly. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So diving right into it, today in a world where we're constantly in a world of changing preferences, opinions, and partners, um, what's your take on, what are some of the trends that you're noticing in modern day relationships and why this is happening?
Sure. I'm actually sort of a still firm believer in relationships. I just think some of the sort of labels that we give them might need to be questioned a little bit, right? For starters, I think one of the big differences that I'll see in modern relationships is the idea of happily ever after. Now, this isn't to burst any romantics bubble, but just to think of it from a very practical standpoint. Earlier, you'd have primarily either arranged marriages or people wouldn't think very much about how you picked sort of just social appropriateness, or different cultures and different people had different preferences. And then this was going to be a partner with whom you'd have kids and build a home together, build a life together, play a role in your society. And our lifespans were 50, 60 years, and you could sort of spend half of your life with that person. Now we live, arguably nothing stops us from living up to 100 or 110 even, right? And we make decisions at a time when so many of us fall in love when we're teenagers, we get married in our early 20s. We now understand that our entire sort of logical cognitive processes don't even mature till we're like 24 or 25 even. And we continue to learn and grow way beyond that. And we also reinvent ourselves as people. So, and now we're going to live also to 100. So is the decision that you made at 18 or 21 or 25 or even 30 or 40 even, are you going to be, you just assume that you're going to be stuck with that for the rest of your life? That's like another 5 times of where you're at if you're 20. you know which is not to say that it can't happen. I just think that expectation that it should be happily ever after with no work from my side, right? I mean, I've gotten into the relationship, and now I'm just going to hang around in my pajamas and expect that my partner will still be this romantic hero that I first saw when I was 18. So it's a little bit, I mean, I'm oversimplifying, of course, but if it were to boil down to that, it comes down to sort of these kind of expectations without really looking at who we are as people to start with. And I think it has to start with the individual before you look at a potential or the partner that you do have, right? I think we just don't sort of hold a mirror up to ourselves enough.
Yes, absolutely. And today in a world that we have dating apps and they've become so prevalent, they're pretty much the primary place for people to meet. It's also become, through personal anecdotes from my friends, it's a place where it's become quite frustrating to use. It's lead to very sort of flippant and casual relationship. How does one navigate dating apps and going about it?
I'm actually a big fan of dating apps, but I'll qualify that. It's like technology, right? Are you going to use it as a tool or an end in itself? And what I mean by that is that, look, I mean, today we all live such busy and siloed existences, and now with work from home, there are fewer and fewer opportunities to meet people, right? Or I mean, why would you want to restrict yourself just to the accident of who you'd see every day at work or a particular geography? And back in the day, again, we'd sort of rely on parents, extended family, matchmakers. There did exist these sort of systems that were very invested in getting you hitched or hooked up. I mean, I won't say the word hooked up, but definitely hitched. So a dating app certainly allows you to explore a wider pool, but I think the mistake that we make is that, well, it's a couple of things. One is that we make the assumption that somebody that shares the same interests as us could potentially be a good partner. Okay, you know, Aziz Ansari, the comedian, he has a book called Modern Romance. Yeah, and he gives an example of just the surfeit of choice, and how a man is like swiping left on an app one after the other on women, right? That would, to put it very politically incorrectly, women that would have been way out of his league in IRL. Okay, but just because they didn't share their interest in like sports, in you know, basketball teams or something like that, like that's how sort of granular we get. So then the question I'm asking is, are you really looking for a clone of yourself on Tinder or whatever app that you're using, and how much fun would that be, really? You know.
Yeah.
So, but also to the second aspect, which is that yes, we do connect with people that we see a resonance with, that we have, like, I mean, you're more likely to meet somebody. You know, if you love trekking, you're more likely to meet somebody who loves trekking if you go on a trek, right? So what that, and that's the first sort of bonding that we make, right? We look for likeness, but we don't want a clone of ourselves. So we do want some sort of likeness, but really how a relationship develops, and I blame modern media for that, or actually honestly media through the years, including romance novels. We seem to think that romance blossoms like thunder and lightning, and you know, instant attraction, and you know, from there on it just goes better and better and better.
Yeah.
I'll actually say that if that happens, it's like your in fact, a neuroscientist friend of mine said that a brain in lust or a brain in love is like a brain on crack cocaine. Okay, so you should consider yourself mildly handicapped. Your cognitive abilities have been hijacked effectively. So what might work instead is to, when you find a person with common interests, to meet them purely as a friend to start with. Now, this is, and I think there is a movement sort of all over the world to like slow food, slow friendships, and I will say slow relationships as well, right? Don't look with the intent that this person is going to be a life partner or any kind of partner to you. Also, the moment you bring in sexual attraction, like I said, you know, we sort of start to lose perspective, and we kind of hyper focus on that person, and hyper focus only on the good qualities. We're unable to see, we kind of see what we want to see in that person, right? So for all of these reasons, it's great to have a dating app to meet new people, to sort of broaden your circle of identification, to learn from them, rather than looking at them purely through the lens of evaluating them as a good potential partner or not. So let friendship be the basis, and build on that in terms of, you know, you go deeper into values, and you know, what do you want to see in your life, and you know, where do you want to go, and really, I mean, I love to quote Lenny Kravitz on this. The question really to ask is, are you going to go my way? And you know, shall we walk this way together for a bit, for long, who knows, you know, our ways may part, but let's enjoy the journey that we can walk together. And that's the fun of having a relationship.
I completely agree with you on that, because I think when you go in with low expectations on a date through an app, you tend to have more fun because you've not gone there knowing anything about the person, and then they can just completely blow you away. But when you put too much pressure on something and you go in with, I'm going on a date, like I need to find a partner, it sort of goes haywire. It doesn't work.
Also because you know, I think there's, again, when you're hungry, when you're sort of that hunger makes you hyper focused, right? I mean, look at real, I mean, basic hunger, right? When you're hungry, you can't see a world that is just okay, and you're absolutely okay. You're going in saying that, listen, I'm incomplete, I desperately need something to complete me. And good luck with, I mean, that if you think that a partner is going to be, it's like, I'm half a person and I need another half to complete me. I think that's another one of the fallacies that we have. You need to be whole yourself. You need to say that, look, I'm an individual, and I'd like to sort of, you know, find resonance, and I'd like to make connections with other human beings, and one of them will happen to just be a romantic or a more intimate, vulnerable and deeper connection than others.
That's definitely an interesting take to it, and I'm sure many will resonate with that. You know, going to like sort of like, there are a lot of young, successful, career-driven women out there. The whole entire like mindset has changed now for young women out there who have started to take on very independent lives. Sometimes they find it very hard to find a man who's willing to commit, and finding the right soulmate, as you say, finding a partner who's willing to commit. Those are things that have become really challenging for them. So why do you think that this is happening? And second part of that question is that through anecdotes from friends, they've also mentioned that when you're direct with a guy, they tend to sort of run away and they like the chase. So why is this all happening?
There's no way you can sort of blanket answer that, because like you said, anecdotes from friends, usually these are also anecdotes, right? But I will just qualify to the experience that I see in my practice as a coach, which is that I think what happens with a lot of high achieving women is that, one, they set the bar very high for themselves, which is that, I'm only acceptable to myself if I'm constantly achieving, if I'm reaching the next best, if this is, everything's got to be like yay high, or I'm nothing. I mean, that's kind of what comes out, and just the acceptance that, listen, I'm just a child, and I'm curious, and I'm exploring, and I want to have fun, and I just want to play, and just be, really, if I could use a very simple word. When you're in that state of mind, then you also see the playfulness, and you see the sort of inner child in a person that you might come across. But when you're in this mode of ticking off boxes, then you'll end up doing the same with the potential partner as well, right? Everything that he or she says is being evaluated for appropriateness in that moment, and either that or the other, and the problem is, when you set like artificial goals for your own acceptability, then you'll also find coping mechanisms, because somewhere that inner child does want to express itself. So you'll either end up being your partner's potential mom. You'll be like, I'll take care of him, I'll do everything for him, I've done everything for him, how could he treat me like, how could he turn out to be such a jerk? It's like, if you're going to be his mom, he's going to be the baby. I mean, isn't that obvious? Kind of, but these are just coping mechanisms. I don't believe this is who we are in our essence, right? So reconnecting with who we are, like I said, the work has to begin with us as individuals. Know what we are bringing to the table, and saying that, listen, this is me, please accept me exactly as I am. And then we're far more likely to be able to just look at people and say, hey, this is you beautifully. This is not like a piece of clay that I'm going to mold into a Ming vase in 5 years. Another one of the fantasies that we sometimes might have. I got a Neanderthal, and then now I'm going to make him into like this prince. If you saw Neanderthal, just expect he's going to stay in Neanderthal forever. Okay, if you're going with that, like, I see you for who you truly are and beautifully are, then I just feel it takes a lot of pressure off, and like, there's no real easy answer to this. And I'm sorry, did that address the second part?
Yes, I think that did, because it's really about going in with the right mindset, right? It's not about ticking those check boxes. And when you go in the right mindset and you go with it with a playful attitude, think of dating as sort of like, a fun game to play, and then see how that goes. I think that's where like the magic will start to fall, rather than keeping it all in your head. So that totally makes sense.
I'll just give you a very simple example, Saloni. We all of us have what we call in psychology cognitive fallacies, right? Like maladaptive thinking processes, and so some of these are like, my dream guy must be above 6 feet tall, or not at all. And I'm just thinking to myself, when you make a choice like that, be prepared to pay the price for it. You could have the most loving, friendly, wonderful, giving guy, and he could be 5'10", and he will walk right past you in your life, and you will not even be able to see him because of this artificial sort of filter that you've created. So I think also examining the filters that we create might be really worthwhile for what it takes to build a relationship. And sometimes we kind of focus on a lot of the things which might look socially acceptable, but might not even be what brings us joy. So I'd like to see how that 6 foot is working out in terms of being a fun person to live with every day. Right? If you think about with that, you just ask yourself, okay, but why? I mean, like, how's that working out for you? You usually won't even have an answer for it, And yet we do it.
Very true. Very, very true.